خزو په وړاندې زموږ دریځ ما مخکې بیان کړ چې موږ به انشاءالله د شریعت په چوکاټ کې ښځو ته د کار او فعالیت اجازه ورکړو. ښځې د ټولنې مهم عنصر ده او موږ دې ته په درناوي ګورو.
The Sharia law, the Taliban's divine way of life, let's try and get an understanding of it. Whenever the Taliban are asked about Afghan women's rights, they end up saying that their rights will be decided as per Islamic law or the Sharia law. What exactly is the Islamic law? What can the Afghan future really look like? Let's understand here. What is the Sharia law? The Islamic law or the Sharia law is a religious law. The Sharia is known as a way of life for every Muslim. It is derived from the Quran, the Sunnah and the Hadith. The Quran is believed by Muslims to be the word of Allah, the only God. The Hadiths are the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad. Now, the Ahadith contains the teachings and the doings of Prophet Muhammad. This forms the basis of Sunnah. So basically, the way the Prophet led his life is how every Muslim is supposed to lead life, according to God's wishes, as they call. Now, anytime a Muslim has any trouble in his or her life, he can turn to the Sharia. From family to finance to business, Sharia embodies every aspect of human life. The Sharia, however, is not a written text, but rules, orders canonized by different schools of thought in Islam. Hence, there is no definitive Sharia text, but different interpretations of rules based on the Quran and the Hadith. Now, let's speak of the punishments. There are three categories of offences under Sharia law: the had hudud, qisas, and tazir. A violation of had hudud is crossing the boundaries set by Sharia and is considered a serious offence. Qisas describes crimes against individuals and families where the punishment can be retaliation or compensation. Tazir contains crimes where the judge has the discretion to decide the punishment given. Now, for had offences like stealing, chopping of hands is a known punishment, and in case of adultery, the women is either whipped or stoned to death in public. Let's not forget, these were the punishments that have actually been practiced when the Taliban was ruling in the 90s. Where is the problem here? Prophet Muhammad belonged to the late 6th and early 7th centuries. His teachings and doings are described in the Holy Book as per those times. That's why a literal and a strict interpretation of Sharia can really be scary today. Prophet Muhammad lived in an era when there was no defined legal system. The nomadic way of life that the Prophet lived was far different from what the life that we live today. An age where men went to war and women were subdued in every aspect of life is far different from the society that we live in today. So if in the 21st century the Taliban bans girls from pursuing education or expect women to venture out only with a male relative, it would amount to cruel exploitation of human rights and the right to life. Speaking of what's banned under Sharia law, there was no television, radio or other forms of entertainment during the Prophet's times. So he obviously did not indulge in any of it. And during their previous rule in the 90s, the Taliban had banned any form of entertainment, be it music, photography or filming. Even flying kites was banned. Men were beaten if they failed to pray 5 times namaz, or if they, of course, even trimmed their beard, they were subjected to punishment. The Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden famously gave up his luxurious life in Saudi to live like the Prophet once did, in the mountains and as a warrior. Well, this is not always the case. There are countries that follow Islamic law, but their interpretation of the statute is comparatively simpler and more lenient. Pakistan implemented the Hudud Ordinance during General Zia's time, but the implementation since then has been watered down over the years. Countries like Turkey, Algeria, Mauritius, and many more Muslim nations have included Sharia law, in fact, in their legal system. These countries generally follow a mixed legal system that is secular and classical at the same time. Thus, the citizens, especially women in these countries, do not face problems that a strict interpretation of Sharia can really cause. Iran implements the Sharia of Parda, but it is limited to full hijab for women. The Taliban, in their first outing, enforced full niqab and burqa, covering a woman's head to toe. Even the eyes are covered with a net in these burqas. The Taliban is a fundamentalist group emerging from the tribal and rural areas of Afghanistan. The Taliban men themselves dress and act and practice the Sharia by its word. Thus, the Taliban leaders ensuring the world that women's rights will be decided as per the Islamic law is a worrying aspect.